Okay, Steve here. Get ready to master your results. I love that. I love the idea of mastering your results. My main program is called Results Mastery. And it's called that because I believe that whatever you're doing in terms of your business and certainly your sales and marketing, we need to get to a level. Because if you're poor at something, we're talking about email. So if you're poor at email, guess what rewards you get for being poor? No rewards. In fact, you get loads of unsubscribes. If you're good, which I call average, the rewards that you get tend to be pretty poor. Most people that are doing email are not really anywhere near at the level they need to be at. Take another big step up to something called excellent. When you're in the top 10%, you probably get good rewards rather than excellent rewards. But the real benefit, I believe, is when you get to a level called mastery, not expert, because expert means you know everything, but mastery. When you've mastered it, that's where you get all the rewards. And that's what I spent 28 years of my life helping people to do. Mastery. Okay, so we're talking about email today. Now, in this LinkedIn Live, I'm not going to talk about like which email system to use or what to write or so on and so forth. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth than that. But just to clarify, we're on LinkedIn Live. So I'm live now. It's Wednesday, the 7th of June at 12:33. So we're live. We're going to be here for about a quarter of an hour, maybe 20 minutes. If I waffle on too much, I apologize, but it's about that length. And it comes unscripted. I've no script, I've no PowerPoints, nothing. I'm just talking based on my experience. And we're also live, interestingly, on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live, and we are also live on YouTube. And I do that using a streaming service called StreamYard, which if anybody wants to know about, please feel free to get in touch and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Perhaps I could do a mastery live session on StreamYard one day, but I'll have to consider that as maybe one option. But it's really cool. It's great. It enables me to do it once and benefit from it 3 times. Not only that, but this live session that I'm doing now is going to be on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube literally forever. So, it becomes a piece of marketing collateral for me to use in my marketing. I can add it to my blog, my website. I can post on social using it, and so on and so forth. So it's a great thing to do. And I think, it depending on what business and what industry you're in, it might be something you want to do. However, let's talk about email. Now, before we do, just want to talk about what I believe is one of the most important things. And I learned this many, many years ago by listening to a guy called Jay Abraham. Jay is one of the world's leading marketing experts. In fact, he called himself the world's #1 marketer. He charges, I think it's $50,000 an hour. So he's just a little bit more expensive than myself. I say that very tongue in cheek, but you get the idea of his level. He's a pretty switched on guy. I got huge respect for him. But I remember him saying that there are basically only 3 ways of growing a business. 1 is to get new customers. 2 is to increase what he called the average transaction value, the average amount of money each customer spends each time they buy from you. And the 3rd is to increase the frequency of repurchase, to get them to come back again and again and again. And he also said that out of those 3, the hardest by far is to get new customers. It's much easier to sell to someone that you've sold before, or someone that you sell to on a regular basis anyway. So on a supermarket metaphor, you've got to get more people in the door. You've got to get them to fill their basket more or fill it with more expensive products. And you've got to get them to come back more often, more easily, and buy more stuff. So that said, where does email fit in? Well, it sort of fits in with all 3, doesn't it? You could be targeting prospects and keeping in touch with them. You could be targeting current customers, offering them some, additional product, or you could be offering them, current customers an opportunity to buy some sort of ongoing program. If I was a landscape gardener, I could be selling into my customers who've hired me to do landscape gardening to come and cut their grass once a month or once a fortnight, whatever's required. So you get the idea, where you keep them coming back and back and back and back. So if you think about how you're going to do that, it's not easy. Let me ask you a question. What other way is there, other than email, to keep in regular contact with your customers, your past customers, your prospects, perhaps your PR contacts, your suppliers, and even your staff? If you like me, have got a remote business. I've got my office here, working from home, and I've got people in different parts of the world, even, but certainly different parts. I think the closest person to me is Miranda, who's up in Andover, and I'm on the Isle of Wight. So we're 40 miles away from each other, and we communicate via email, obviously. But anyway, let's just talk about what you're here to, I assume, learn, and that is the use of email from a keeping in touch with people point of view. So that's basically what I'm saying. If there is another way, you could advertise to them. Yes, you can sort of communicate with them on a regular basis on perhaps LinkedIn and stuff like that. But if you ask me what is the easiest, best, most available way of doing it, I would say by far email. Now, you may be in the world where you say, well, nobody's opening emails anymore. And you may say, email marketing doesn't work. I've tried it before. And my answer to that would be simply, you're wrong. It does work. It doesn't work all the time, though, does it? And we all know that if I do an email out, a campaign to my prospect list, I'm probably going to get about a 30 to 40% open rate, which, by the way, is pretty good. I think the world average is something like 15%. This is an email going out to, say, thousands of people. It's about 15%, and I get about a 30 to 40% open rate. If I do the same thing to my clients, that's up around 60, 70, 80% open rates. So that's, I suppose, the number one figure that you need to be aware of when you're doing email marketing. So let's just assume that we're going to do that. What do we need to do? We need to certainly grow that database of prospects and people. We need to get people into a database to start with. A lot of people, it amazes me when I talk to businesses about a database, they say, I haven't really got one. I do have a spreadsheet that's got, like, I don't know, 50 people on it. And I say, well, how long have you been in business? They say, well, 10 years. And I just think to myself, what have you been doing for 10 years? You've only got 50 people on your database. Come on, we need to do this. So, I'd fully recommend personally growing your database, not necessarily buying a database, but growing your database, making sure they opt in and doing all the things that we should do under GDPR and all that sort of stuff, but also being aware of some of the stuff, because a lot of people don't realize that GDPR, for example, doesn't apply to business emails. It only applies to personal emails. So if you email me at steve@hotmail, then that, and I don't expect or want to receive your email, that's contradictory to GDPR. If you email me at steve@Crofton Limited, it doesn't apply. So that doesn't mean, though, ethically you should be spamming people, sending out emails to people who don't want them. So just to clarify that. But anyway, so we need to email people. We need to keep in touch. Why do we need to keep in touch? Because let me tell you a quick story. This story is true. I've just got married again a little while ago, 2 or 3 years. Before that, I was married for about 10, 15 years, and probably more like 15 years actually. And when we first got together with my former wife, she lived over in Cardiff, and we met a guy who was a solicitor, and his name was Richard. He's a really nice guy, did a great job for us. You know, solicitors sometimes are not the easiest people to speak to, you know, and Richard was. We both liked him. I think when he'd done our, when we sold her flat in Cardiff Bay, and she moved to Newbury, where I lived, and we sent him a bottle of wine and, you know, box of chocolates or whatever, because we really appreciated him. A couple of years later, probably about 5 years later, we got involved in property development, and we bought 2 properties. And when we were going to buy them, I said to my wife, what was that guy, Richard? What was his detail? Oh, yeah, Richard. Shall we get him to do the conveyancing work? She said, yeah, let's get hold of Richard. Couldn't remember his last name. We had such a good relationship. We used to know him as Richard. So we looked for his company. Couldn't find it anywhere on Google. Not that we remembered it, but we couldn't find it. And having looked for, you know, an extensive amount of time, we settled on a solicitor in Newbury to do that work for us. Now, what was the problem here? The problem was Richard, guess how many emails he sent us over that time? 0. Any other communications? 0. Nothing at all. We're absolute advocates, think he's brilliant. We've just got married, need to redo the wills to start with. Never had any message about that. Would we have had other work for him? I mean, I think basically he got about 800 quid from us, and he would have got another probably £2,000 or £3,000 with the house purchases, and probably another £2,000 or £3,000 at least, probably more if it had handled our divorce. You know, so, you know, point being, because he didn't keep in touch, he never really benefited to the full extent that he could have done. So we, you know, email's the easiest way of keeping in touch. Yes, it's not necessarily the best way. The best way would be perhaps a weekly phone call to people or a monthly phone call. That would be the best way. And, you know, it's really important to do that with your clients. But, you know, my database has got thousands of prospects, thousands of them. How am I going to keep in touch with that? Over the years that I've been in business, I've probably got somewhere around about 500 past customers. How am I going to keep in touch with those? The only way is email. And we need to be able to do that. So you need to think, you know, I hope I've convinced you that you should be doing emails. Now we need to talk about what and why. Firstly, what are you going to send? In other words, how often are you going to send? If you've never sent anybody an email, I'd suggest starting off maybe once a month. You know, you don't want to go from once a month to like 3 times a week, like some people email me, and I email some people. So frequency is really important. So if you're starting off with this, I'd suggest once a month, you're going to send them some form of email. Then after about 2 or 3 months, you're going to increase that to twice a month. After 2 or 3 months of that, you're going to increase it to once a week. Okay. After that, depending on what you do, you might want to increase it from there. But that really, going from 0 to 6 months' time, you need to be sending out a weekly email. Now, that said, what you don't want to be doing is going, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? Do you want to buy that? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy something else? You know, that won't work. I say it won't work. It probably won't work. It's not I certainly don't recommend that. I don't do that. What you need to do is to gently keep in touch with people. So what do I mean? You could send them some information. You could tell them about an event. You know, I email people telling them about the Mastery Lives that I'm doing. This, I tell them about this. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want my prospects, past customers, and even current customers to come along and benefit from this? I can't think of a reason, and I can only think of email as a way of telling them. It's that certainly the easiest and the quickest and the cheapest, by the way. So that said, what else can you do? You could send them a video. You could produce a video saying, you know, I'm just sending a quick video just to keep in touch. You could sometimes do a pitch, couldn't you? You could say, look, if there's anything I can do for you right now, you know, please feel free to get in touch. We'd love to be back helping you again, that you send to all your past customers. So there's so many different things. Perhaps some information that you find in the news. You could turn it into a newsletter, although you probably gather from the grimace on my face, the word newsletter doesn't necessarily promote feelings of what a great idea within me anyway. I prefer to send them a simple message, you know, not one of these convoluted things with balloons and, you know, whatever floating in and, you know, HTML crazy emails. I'd prefer to keep it nice and simple because A, it gets past the spam filters, and B, it looks more like an email that's come from me to you, rather than gone from me to many. So that, I think, is really important. I'd also say, you know, things like asking them questions are really good, because that creates response. You know, also, I'd add to that, keeping it like really short. I'm talking like 1-sentence emails. I sometimes try them and they work remarkably well. What do I mean? I might say, hi, Fred, Steve Mills here. Just a quick note to see if you're still looking to grow your business. And people respond. They respond with, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. And those who are, I follow up. How simple is that? You know, and it's almost like, as I say, it's like I've just sent you a personal email, not 5,000 people. Yeah, it looks like it's just come from me to you. And that's often a good way of doing it. Okay, so we're just about come to the end. I hope I've convinced you. If you want to know about the best way of doing that, in my opinion anyway, it would be using something that I use called Keap. Keap, KEAP.com. I'm actually a certified partner of theirs, and I'd be very happy to, if you want to email me asking me about it, I'd be happy to hop on a call. I get enough people, I could even set up a Zoom meeting with a group of people, so I can explain it and show it you and talk about the pros and cons of it. Because if you speak to Keap, they'll tell you how wonderful it is, and it is wonderful. But there are also some drawbacks as well that I'd be very happy to explain about, so that you get a good unbiased view of it. So that's it. That's all I want to say. I hope it's of value. I really do believe it is. Obviously, you've noticed the right throughout the session today, this rotating round, which basically says, book a meeting with me. Very happy to have a conversation with you. I don't do hard selling. I don't spend the meeting telling you all about my results mastery program. I meet with you to discuss your business, your results, what you're getting right now, what you could do to improve it, and really getting an understanding of what you want to try to do. And then at the end, you know, if it's appropriate and you do want to grow your business, I can talk to you about how I might be able to help you. But I will ask you, would you like to know? And if you go, do you know what, Steve? No, not really. It's time's not right. It's not, you know, then fine. We'd just go our separate ways, and at least hopefully there'll have been some value between us. And that's it. So if you want to book a meeting, please do go to steve-mills.com. You'll see a big gold button at the top of the homepage. Click that. That'll give you access to my online diary, and you can find a time that's right for you and get it booked in. Thanks very much for listening.